I grew up in what most people call a Christian home. My father would often ask me after service, why didn't you go forward? You know, I was feeling the anticipation of the nervousness of the need to go forward. I didn't want to go to hell, and so I went through the process. My dad was a truck driver. He was gone quite a bit, but he was a really strict disciplinarian. Most of my discipline was out of anger and instead of out of love. When I turned 18, I really couldn't wait to get out of the house, so I moved out. That's when the cocaine was introduced to me. I worked for cocaine. I spent every dime I had on cocaine, and when that wasn't enough, when that didn't satisfy me, I started selling cocaine. It was just the excitement of being accepted by somebody. I've always looked for love at home and through my dad, and pretty much put my dad as an idol to me, and I really wanted him just to accept me. And I found that acceptance in the people that I'd done cocaine with. I run into my parents, and I was skin and bones. My eyes were black. My face was sunken in. So I moved back home and in essence, tried to get my life straight again. I started dating a girl. She was into the party scene too. We would go out to the bars on the weekends and drink, and we smoked pot. I really thought I could change things after we got married, but unfortunately that didn't work out. Things got worse. The fights got more intense. Eventually we separated, and I moved out, went back home. I'd been introduced to a guy, a Mexican guy who was selling cocaine and had a lot of contacts in Chicago in the Mexican mafia. They would bring a whole flatbed truck into his garage and lay down a huge piece of Visqueen, break up huge bales of cocaine in the garage there, and we would get all the spoils. I got into cooking cocaine, smoking cocaine, the whole thing then. January of 2001 was a turning point in my life. I had a physical reaction, and it scared me. I had sort of a panic attack, so to speak. I did feel the presence of God that weekend. I felt convicted that weekend. I got my Bible out, I started reading. I just made up my mind that, you know, I was going to go back to church. I was going to pull up my bootstraps. I was going to do the best I could. I was really going to try this time. Really couldn't see how that I was saved, because I kept turning back to just the same sin over and over and over again. February the 9th, 2003, my brother had been going through a divorce, got a divorce. It turned to alcohol. He always laid right in front of the television, and you always had to step over him, you know, to get through the room. And I stepped over him, started down the hallway, and I just noticed something that was strange, that his arm was in a weird position behind his back. And I turned around, and he was frozen. He was dead. I just, of course, started crying out, just tears rolling down my face. Jeff come out of the bedroom, and I told him to go back to the bed. As soon as I told him to go back to bed, he knew that his dad was dead. As dramatic as a moment that was for me, it didn't stop me from returning to the same habits that I used to have. The fall of this past year was was the best moment of my life. My dad came back and was very dissatisfied with the way things were going around the house. I realized that his goal for my life and my goal for my life were two different things. And so I left the house. I stayed in the youth barn all night on the couch, and I spent 4 days with God. And I was in tears. I was just at the end. The person that I had put in front of God, the person that I'd wanted most in my life to love me, I realized probably never was going to happen like I thought it would. I never was going to get approval from my dad. Everything I do would never be good enough. Like I said, I'd spent 4 days pretty much on my knees with God. He changed my life. I told my dad that none of our lives, the lives that we'd lived as Christians, were not what the Bible said were Christian lives. The Bible's truth had penetrated my heart, and nothing was the same and nothing will ever be the same. The last few months of my life have been dramatically different. I was always ashamed of my past. I didn't want to tell people about my cocaine past. I've just had the awesome opportunity to share with people the good news, the gospel of Jesus Christ. My life has changed. The life that I used to live was just a false gospel, that it didn't really produce any change in my life. It was a momentary high at times, but I would always return to the same lonely, empty person that I was. And but I knew that I wanted to follow God. I needed to totally surrender to Him. So I'm following the Lord in believer's baptism Sunday night. My name is Kenny Berry, and Jesus is my Lord.